Hi guys, in today's quick tip tutorial we're going to talk about sizing in our composites and how to improve those things and watch for certain things to make sure that your images look as accurate or realistic as possible if that is what you're trying to do. Now you'll notice I'm wearing the same thing that I was in a couple other videos. That's because I am recording more than one video in one day, so don't judge me. So let's go ahead and jump on in. We're going to look at the screen here. And we're going to talk about what I look for and what I do in my images to make sure that the size is accurate. So one of the biggest things that I noticed in composites is sizing, and that's why I'm creating this video today. It is going to just be a quick tip tutorial. If you're looking for a more advanced tutorial on this, make sure you sign up for our subscription. Our workshop memberships get full access to all our tutorials, but this right now is just going to be a really quick overview on things to watch for and how to get your elements to be a little more grounded in reality, unless you're going for that fantasy look. So let's look over here on our screen and we have our getting ready for Christmas image. Now, a lot of times you'll find in a composite or a manipulation that the child is either too large or too small, or the animal is too large or too small for the scene. There are 1 to 2 tips that I immediately go for when I'm telling people what to watch for. One is look at the feet of your subjects versus your animals, and look at the eyes. If you have an animal that the foot of the animal is the size of the child's head, you may have that too large. So those are just 2 really quick tips. So let me go ahead and show you. I'm going to grab my lasso tool, and you can see the size of her foot here. And if you compare it to the size of the zebra, it's about half the size of her foot. A lot of times you will see, and I'm just going to do this so it's going to look really messy. A lot of times though, this is what you will see. You will see a child who is super tiny or super large. This is often the most realistic thing that I see online, is that the child is too large. So let's look at it when the child is too large. The head is almost larger than the zebra's head. Now in real life, that's not going to be realistic. So you lose that sense of realism and that grounded in reality when you have these elements. So look at the feet. Right now, this child's foot in comparison to the zebra is almost larger than an adult male foot. So keep that in mind. So let's go on and let's look at another image. Let's just close this one down. This is a new piece that I'm working on. It is going to probably be called Reindeer Flight Training 2. Who knows? It's not finished. I have to work on the lights, but I thought it was a really great piece because you're not having the animal stand next to the subject. You're having the animal flying, and sometimes you do have your animals flying. So this is where I'm talking about grounded in reality, is that you have to have some sense of realism in your scene to make that scene believable for your viewers. So again, if I'm looking at this, I have the child's foot here, and if I'm looking at the reindeer foot, that's about accurate. It's about half the size of the reindeer's foot. This foot's a little large. I may have to go back in and trim this up. But here's how and why this image works. It's grounded in realism. So we have the boy who has the rope, which is the lights, who's pulling him down. That shows a sense of gravity in your scene. You also have the motion blur, which gives him movement and gives the reindeer movement. So you have all of these elements that give that grounded in reality. So if you're looking here, this is the reindeer's eye right here, and if you're looking at the boy's eye, you can see that it's about half that size. So we're just going back to that sizing topic, that you have to match your elements and you have to look at what's in your scene and what's available to make it work and to compare it. If you're not familiar with animal sizes, do your homework, do your research. Google how large is a reindeer. This is a male reindeer, so he's going to be a little bit larger than the female reindeers that are out there, but your viewer probably wouldn't know this. So you can get away with certain animals having them a teeny bit bigger or a teeny bit smaller than what the average is said to be. So that's just something that you can consider as well. So let's look at very tiny presents. You can see here that the foot of the teddy bear, or I'm sorry, the foot of the polar bear is double the size of her foot. You can also see that the shoulder of the bear reaches about the shoulder of your girl. So you have these elements that are grounded in reality. You have your shadows, you have your hands and your presence that all show sizing, and that's what makes it believable and more realistic. Again, we're looking at the eye of the bear and the eye of the little girl. And then look at the teddy bear. The teddy bear helps tell size as well, because you will be able to know from memory how big things are from your own experiences in life. So this helps ground your subject in reality. It helps give you that sense of realism. Now, I tend to make my animals just a teeny bit smaller than what they naturally are, and because of that, it gives them a more sense of a storytelling look. So these are all things to consider when you're creating your composites. Okay, let's look at the next one here. This is our snowmaker's image. And you can see that there's this tree in the background. There's no human, or there's no main subject in the image, but you can look at other elements in your scene to help with the realism. So you have this big, long, tall tree here, and then you have your elephant, plus you have this teeny tiny speckled snow, which gets larger as it blows out. This helps tell what size your subject is. Okay, let's look at our next one. This is our adventure book. Now I want to talk to you about non-realistic sizing and how to make that work. The reason why I can make this image work and you can make your image work is because you may have an element such as this bear that is smaller, but you've matched other elements in the scene with the bear to make that image a whole story. If I took this and I made this bear larger than the actual scene, I'm going to go ahead and just show you a really quick example. You'll see that it's not very realistic. It doesn't feel right. So if you have your bear that's larger than the rock, if its foot is humongous, it's not going to be believable. You need to make all of your elements mix together to make that sizing work. And you can do that by looking at the eyes and looking at the feet. This helps tell your story. All right, let's look at another one. Okay, we have a fantasy piece, and the moon is the balloon. And I just call this one my hot air balloon moon. How creative. Okay, so why does this piece work? Because I have the girl that matches the basket size, and the moon matches the balloon size, but it's a little round and smaller. I could have stretched this and warped this out to have this more realistic as a balloon. Let me go ahead and show you that. I can do that really quick. So I could have changed this and warped this out and had this into the shape of a balloon, but for me it didn't really tell the story of it being the moon. So that's why I kept this just as that round moon, but it's my balloon. So ground your subject in reality. We have light hitting the top of her head. We have shadows from the basket, and she matches that size of the basket. All of these things help tell your story. Okay, so now we have, I think this is our, nope, we have one more to go. We have our bear in the woods. And this is a really realistic piece, but just to note, the butterflies match the size that the scene should be. Look at the bear paws and look at the butterfly. That bear could hold out its hand and that butterfly could land in it, and it would give that sense of realism. Look at the bear's eye and eye direction. I drew a really bad arrow there. And the size of that butterfly. These are all things that help with sizing in your image. Okay, last one is our how toys are made. And this is a very non-realistic piece, and the egg is oversized. It does not fit in size with the scene, but that's okay. Like we talked about at the beginning, not everything is going to be photoreal, and not everything is going to be sized to be perfectly matching to your image. This is a very enlarged egg. I did this because I wanted to emphasize that scene. The reason why this works though is because I've set this forward. The trees are just a background subject matter element, and there's nothing else really in the scene that is taking away from that egg. So those are all just sizing tips. My top 2 tips are, of course, look at the eyes, look at the feet. If you can make those things work, your image will immediately get better with sizing and getting your sizing elements to match. Some other tips that I can tell you to do before you release your image: take a break, walk away from your computer, take a 15-minute, 30-minute break, go to bed, take a nap, get up the next morning, look at it. Your eyes will lie to you and play tricks on you. You have to give your eyes time to rest, because when you're staring at something, everything just sort of blends in together and starts to meld together. But when you walk away and you come back to your scene, you'll see things and you'll see flaws right away that you didn't after staring at your screen for 10 hours. So take that break. And another tip is to save it and send it to a friend and ask them, does this size work? Tell me what I can do to improve this. Every single one of my pieces before I release, I send to my husband, and he tells me my size is wrong every single time. Every single time. And I love him for it. So those are just some quick tips that you can follow to improve your composites, and my quick tip video lasted 11 minutes, sorry, but I hope this helped you. If you have any quick tips or any extra questions that you may have, post them in the comments below and follow our blog here on our website. Thank you.